who you was raised by. And since he was raised by me and his daddy, we understand. And he gave a very clear definition yesterday of why he has to do what he has to do. So we got that coming. In a few weeks, we'll get that DNA back. Everything will start working out. We'll figure it out. I'm sure he'll have the baby and all types of therapy now. I'm so grateful to God that we'll start to get somewhere. Yesterday was real ugly. It was real ugly. But I thought about it and I see now what he means. Like we're all women working off of emotions.
The moment Karlissa whispered the words DNA test, the internet didn't blink, it flinched. This wasn't just another messy family argument drifting through timelines like background noise. This was a nuclear button being hovered over, and everyone knew it. You could practically hear the collective gasp through Wi-Fi routers worldwide. Suddenly, phones vibrated, group chats ignited, and comment sections turned into digital courtrooms with zero evidence and maximum confidence. And then came Chrisean Rock's reaction. Not a calm statement. Not a clean denial. Nope. What followed looked more like a pressure cooker exploding in real time. The kind of meltdown that makes people stop mid-scroll and say, wait, why is she acting like that? Because here's the thing, when someone isn't nervous, they don't start pacing, yelling, subtweeting, posting, deleting, reposting, and spiraling all in the same afternoon. This wasn't reality TV anymore. This was reality TV without producers yelling cut. The kind of chaos that makes the Kardashians look like a well-organized book club. And the wildest part, nobody had even seen the DNA results yet. Just the idea of the test was enough to send shockwaves across the internet like an earthquake with WI-feed. So buckle up. Because what you're about to hear isn't just a breakdown. It's a chain reaction. And once it started, there was no undo button. The scandal didn't crash in loudly, it crept in and sat there like it owned the room. Karlissa didn't yell, didn't threaten, didn't perform for the camera. She made one quiet, calculated move that froze the entire timeline. 2 words landed heavier than any insult ever could: DNA test. The moment those words surfaced, the energy shifted instantly. Conversations stopped being casual and started sounding like interrogations. DNA tests don't care about emotions, loyalty, or public sympathy. They don't bend for fan bases or viral narratives. That's exactly why this move hit so hard. For months, people danced around the topic like it was forbidden. Everyone hinted, side-eyed, and whispered without saying it outright. Karlissa saying it openly felt like someone finally pulling the fire alarm. The real explosion didn't come from the test itself, though. It came from Chrisean Rock's reaction to the idea of it. Instead of brushing it off with confidence, the response felt sharp and frantic. Posts came fast, emotional, and defensive before anyone even accused her directly. That kind of reaction makes people stop scrolling. The internet has learned to treat panic like a confession. Even when it is and single quotes T. Suddenly, everything from the past felt relevant again. Old interviews resurfaced and sounded different this time. Jokes people once laughed at now felt uncomfortable. Offhand comments were replayed with new suspicion, paused and rewound like they held hidden meaning. The internet turned into a jury overnight, armed with screenshots instead of evidence. And once that happens, context becomes optional. While Chrisean's energy stayed heated, Karlissa stayed quiet. That contrast spoke louder than any rant ever could. Silence carries weight when accusations are floating in the air. Calm looks like confidence, whether it's intentional or not. And in public perception, the quiet person often looks like the one waiting on facts. Fans immediately split into camps. Some defended Chrisean, calling the DNA test invasive and cruel. Others argued it should have happened long ago to end the confusion. But even supporters struggled to explain why the reaction felt so intense. If the truth was simple, why did it look so chaotic? Questions started piling up faster than answers could form. Why did the word DNA trigger such an emotional spiral? Why did the response feel more like damage control than dismissal? Those questions spread across platforms like smoke. And once doubt enters a conversation, it never stays small. The timeline became a courtroom without rules. tone was treated like evidence and facial expressions became proof. People dissected every post like it was a coded message. Logic took a back seat to vibes and screenshots. The story stopped being about facts and became about perception. The wildest part was that no results even existed yet. This entire meltdown happened over the possibility of a test. That's when people realized this wasn't just about biology. It was about control of the narrative. Whoever framed the story first could shape how the truth would be received later. Supporters argued that the pressure alone could break anyone. Being judged publicly can push people to react emotionally. That explanation almost worked, until the reactions kept coming. Instead of calming the situation, every response added fuel. The internet doesn't soothe stress, it multiplies it. By this point, the reaction itself had become the headline. Karlissa didn't need to say anything else. The silence felt intentional, strategic, and unsettling. It made people believe she was waiting on something solid. And in a sea of drama, patience looks powerful. Comment sections filled with the same questions repeated in different words. Why so defensive? Why not let the test speak for itself? Even people who didn't care before started paying attention. Something about this felt unfinished and unstable. The DNA test stopped being just a test. It turned into a symbol of truth approaching. A moment everyone knew would change the story forever. Whatever the results might be, the fallout was already locked in. And the internet knew this was only the beginning. Once doubt shows up, it doesn't leave quietly. It sits, watches, and waits. And at this point, everyone was refreshing their screens, knowing the next chapter would hit harder than the first. Once the story escaped its original circle, it didn't just spread, it mutated. What started as a family issue turned into full internet spectacle within hours. Reaction channels popped up like emergency sirens, each one claiming they had new insight or exclusive angles. The males got louder, faces got more shocked, and titles screamed like the world was ending. Calm commentary died instantly. Chaos always wins the algorithm. Memes flooded timelines at record speed. But these weren't harmless jokes. They were sharp, sarcastic, and loaded with meaning. People compared the situation to reality shows built entirely on dysfunction. Except this one didn't have a script or a safe word. Some said it made love and hip-hop look like a wellness retreat. Others joked this was Maury with a social media budget. Public opinion began swinging wildly. 1 hour Chrisean was being defended as overwhelmed and emotionally exhausted. The next hour, the same comments flipped, accusing her of spiraling because the truth was catching up. The internet loves a redemption arc, but it loves a downfall even more. And this situation felt like it was leaning towards spectacle. Celebrity names started getting dragged into the conversation, whether they belonged there or not. Influencers hinted they knew more than they could say. Podcasters teased behind-the-scenes info without ever delivering it. Everyone wanted to sound connected. Even silence from certain people was treated like confirmation. Screenshots traveled faster than context ever could. Past statements were clipped, cropped, and reposted until the original meaning disappeared. A single sentence could spawn 10 different narratives depending on who posted it. The truth didn't matter nearly as much as the angle. Once a story becomes viral, accuracy becomes optional. Chrisean's reactions continued to fuel the fire. Instead of settling, the energy stayed restless. Posts felt reactive, emotional, and unfiltered. Every response invited 10 new interpretations. Supporters tried to explain it as pressure, but critics saw it as panic dressed up as passion. Meanwhile, Karlissa remained noticeably composed. No frantic posts, no emotional outbursts, just patience. That calm presence started feeling deliberate, like someone confident enough to wait. Whether intentional or not, it framed her as the adult in the room. And the internet loves crowning villains and heroes, even when real life is messy. Wild theories began circulating like late-night conspiracy podcasts. Some claimed this was all a setup for exposure. Others insisted it was emotional manipulation meant to control public sympathy. A few went full detective mode, connecting unrelated dots and calling it proof. Logic wasn't invited to this party. The comparisons got more outrageous by the minute. People dragged in past celebrity scandals, claiming this situation made those look tame. Some said this was worse than public cheating scandals because it involved identity and truth. Others said it was proof that social media turns personal matters into public executions. At this point, the original issue was almost forgotten. The test itself barely mattered anymore. What mattered was the reaction to it. The meltdown had become the main event. People weren't waiting for results. They were watching behavior. And behavior tells stories facts can't always explain. Comment sections turned ruthless. Sympathy and suspicion fought for dominance. People argued in circles, quoting the same clips with different interpretations. Everyone wanted to be right, and nobody wanted to wait. Waiting doesn't trend. The situation reached a point where no move felt safe anymore. Silence looked strategic. Speaking looked guilty. Explaining looked defensive. Every option carried consequences. And in that kind of pressure cooker, mistakes become inevitable. By the end of this phase, the internet wasn't just watching anymore. It was invested, emotionally attached, picking sides, writing conclusions before the final chapter even arrived. The story had crossed the point of no return, and whatever came next was guaranteed to hit harder than anyone expected. By the time the chaos stopped feeling new and started feeling permanent, the damage had already settled in. This situation didn't need official confirmation to leave a mark. Public opinion had already hardened into shape. People weren't waiting to hear the truth anymore. They were reacting to what they believed the reactions revealed. In internet culture, perception always gets there first, and facts are forced to catch up later. Chrisean Rock's public image shifted in real time. Not because of evidence, but because of how the moment unfolded. The emotional responses, the rapid posts, the visible agitation all became part of a growing narrative. Critics framed it as someone losing control of a story she once dominated. Supporters called it exhaustion and pressure finally boiling over. But both sides agreed on one thing: the optics weren't helping. Every post after that felt heavier than the last. Nothing landed neutral anymore. Silence was seen as avoidance. Speaking was seen as damage control. Explaining sounded defensive, while ignoring it looked suspicious. It became a lose-lose situation where every move invited another wave of commentary. Once a controversy reaches that level, there's no safe response left. Relationships around the situation began to feel strained. Allies who once spoke loudly went quiet. Friends who used to comment stayed silent. Even people who had nothing to do with the issue seemed careful to keep their distance. When the internet starts sharpening knives, proximity alone can cut reputations. Silence stopped being emotional and started becoming strategic. Karlissa's calm presence continued to shape how the story was perceived. Her refusal to engage publicly didn't read as weakness. It read as patience. People framed it as confidence, as someone waiting on facts instead of feelings. Whether that was intentional or not didn't matter anymore. In viral narratives, what it looks like is often more important than what it is. That contrast kept fueling discussions long after the initial outrage faded. One side emotional and reactive, the other side quiet and composed. The internet loves a clear visual dynamic, even when real life is far more complicated. And once that dynamic forms, it sticks like glue. Every future interaction gets filtered through it. The tone of commentary shifted from curiosity to judgment. Early speculation turned into firm opinions. People stopped asking questions and started making statements. That's when scandals become dangerous. When curiosity dies and certainty takes over, reputations start taking permanent hits. Labels replace nuance, and those labels travel fast. Professional consequences quietly entered the conversation. Fans wondered how brands would react. Critics questioned long-term credibility. Supporters worried about how much public pressure one person could realistically handle. When personal drama collides with public careers, the fallout doesn't stay online. It follows people into business meetings, contracts, and long-term opportunities. Even if the DNA results ended the debate definitively, the aftermath was already locked in. Some people would claim vindication regardless of the outcome. Others would argue the reaction mattered more than the results. Once a narrative fractures like this, no single piece of information can fully repair it. The internet rarely revises first impressions. What made this situation darker was how quickly it became normalized. A deeply personal issue turned into daily entertainment. Views climbed. Engagement spiked. Reaction videos kept rolling. Somewhere in that process, the human cost faded into the background. Viral drama feeds on repetition, and repetition dulls empathy. Future interactions between everyone involved now carry built-in tension. Every post will be analyzed, every smile questioned, every silence dissected. The story may quiet down, but it won't disappear. It will linger, waiting for the next trigger to bring it roaring back. That's how internet sagas survive. What started as a DNA test turned into a public reckoning. Not because of results, but because of reactions. It exposed how quickly control over a narrative can slip once emotions take the wheel. And it proved that in the digital age, behavior often outweighs facts in shaping public belief. The waiting became its own form of punishment. Every delay fed speculation. Every quiet moment invited new theories. People convinced themselves the truth was being hidden, even without evidence. When audiences feel invested, patience disappears. They don't wait for answers. They invent them. No matter how this story officially concludes, the impact is already permanent. Reputations have shifted. Trust has been questioned. Relationships have been strained. The fallout doesn't end when results arrive. It continues in how people remember the moment it all unraveled. This saga revealed something uncomfortable about online culture. We don't just watch breakdowns, we participate in them. We reward chaos with attention and then act surprised when it escalates. By the time clarity arrives, the damage has already gone viral. Now everyone waits for confirmation. But confirmation won't erase what people think they witnessed. The story has already been written in millions of minds. The results may answer one question, but they won't undo the months of speculation, judgment, and reaction. And that's the real twist in all of this. The loudest moment isn't when the truth finally drops. It's when people realize the truth might not change anything at all. And this is exactly why stories like this never truly end. They just reload with a new headline. Today it's a DNA test and a public meltdown. Tomorrow it's leaked messages, side interviews, or someone slipping up on live the worst possible moment. If you think this saga is finished, you haven't been paying attention to how the internet works. If this breakdown had you glued to the screen, smash that like button like it personally offended you. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next twist, because around here, silence never lasts and receipts always resurface. This channel doesn't wait for permission to talk about what everyone else is whispering. Drop your real thoughts in the comments. Was this peer pressure finally boiling over? Or did that reaction feel like panic dressed up as emotion? Do you think the DNA results will actually settle anything? Or is this just the beginning of a much bigger storm? Say it with your chest. This comment section stays active. Turn on notifications, because when things flip overnight, we're already locked in. While other channels are still waiting for confirmation, we're breaking down the reactions, the timing, and the patterns nobody wants to address. No soft takes, no sugarcoating, just uncomfortable questions and louder truths. If drama is trending, we're already there. If narratives collapse, we rewind the moment they cracked. This is where viral chaos gets decoded, not defended. Stay ready, stay sharp, and stay watching. This is Celeb SYNC, where today's meltdown becomes tomorrow's receipt. Meltdown becomes tomorrow's receipt.